It's not a force. It is.
It's
That's correct. It is not a force.
hold on. I'm trying to phrase this in a way that would make sense to you guys.
Also,
No, it's not.
what? Even
There's not a preference. There's not a like a preference frame,
A preferred, yeah,
a preferred frame. There you go, a preferred frame.
There's not a preferred frame of reference. That's correct. Which means that from the Apple's perspective, it is just as valid as the Earth's perspective.
Okay. Lion, again, because I think you understand what Lion's saying, because what Lion's saying doesn't make sense. Lion wants to say that the apple moves relative to the Earth, but not that the Earth moves relative to the apple. But even in Einstein's view, they both pull each other.
No, no.
They do, though.
Well, hold on. When you say they pull each other, you're invoking an actual force. That's not what relativity states.
No, they both.
What relativity states
is have mass.
So the warping of space-time is actually causing things to look like they're falling, but really, like gravity, when things are free falling, those objects are actually in an inertial state. That's why you can't. Hold on. That's why you can't. That's why you can't measure any proper acceleration with accelerometers, because the object is free falling and it's actually being what we perceive as falling towards the Earth is really due to relativity and the bending and warping of space-time. Dude, it's real complicated. That's why we came up with this experiment to begin with. Because hold on, dude. That last thing. I'll land it right here. There's something called the equivalence principle, dude, that states that there is no preferred reference frame, dude.
So the equivalence.
That doesn't. Hold on, no. But now, if you're going to say that, now you have to say that neither the apple nor the planet are moving. Okay, how can you say that the apple falls because of gravity? Well, I don't know if you have to for this conversation. How can you say that the apple is appearing to fall, but is actually just moving across the curve of space-time, but the Earth is not doing the same thing? How can you say the Earth doesn't move, but not also say the apple doesn't move as well? Because Einstein says they both move in the same way. They both move across the coordinate of space-time together.
Right. So the laws of physics are basically the same for both the Earth and the apple. So a free-falling reference frame is the same as an inertial reference frame or a non-moving reference frame.
Yeah, it is an inertial reference frame.
No, but I don't have an issue with that. But now you're saying that the Earth is absolutely still, but the apple is moving towards the Earth. But no. Einstein says, well, the Earth's not really moving. It's following the curvature of space-time, and it's not really moving. But the apple is doing the exact same thing. So why would you say the apple is moving? You can't have it both ways. No. Have one answer that.
But that's the dilemma that we're in, and that's what I'm trying to ask you, bro.
It's not the dilemma.
That's what I want you to answer. You want me to answer your dilemma.
I'll literally explain it right now, because you can go either way. You can either say they're both just following the curvature of space-time, or one's moving relative to other. You can use either Einsteinian or Newtonian, but you're trying to choose one or the other for a scenario where you're saying, well, let's be an outside observer, which Einstein doesn't acknowledge. He says that there is no privileged reference frame, that in his math, the observer is part of his math, just like the apple and the planet. It literally is. It's all things. Even in it, you can't make up a whimsical scenario where you're God watching motion outside of whatever it is. To acknowledge the motion, Einstein would say that you have to be in the math. Like, you can literally look at it. I don't know what to. That's a different point.
So you
want to take hold on. You want to take your scenario and try to apply both Newtonian by saying you get a privileged reference frame of watching it, but you don't want to apply the Einsteinian saying all things move towards each other. You got to choose one or the other. You can't just say I'm God watching the two bowling balls move towards each other, but not acknowledge that all things go towards each other.
You can be on a spaceship watching both of them. Yes,
but you're going to be falling as well. You're falling as well.
It's a hypothetical.
It doesn't matter.
It's a hypothetical thought experiment, dude. That's all it is. Go ahead.
It doesn't make sense. You can't both say that you're acknowledging. Your Wi-Fi is terrible.
You broke up left lane.
Yeah, no one understood that. Anyway, the point is, if you want to say that there's relative motion for the apple towards the Earth, you also have to say there's relative motion for the Earth towards the apple. But then you say, nuh-uh, Einstein says something different. Einstein says something different. The Earth isn't actually moving, but then he would also say the apple's not moving as well. You can't cut halfway through that. Do you understand that issue, or are you just going to pretend that issue doesn't exist?
Bro, that's not my dude. I'm teaching you your model, dude. I didn't come up, dude. I didn't come up with this, bro.
I'll explain it very
acting
quickly
like I
again.
came up with this. Like this is
Lion. I'll explain it
What's
very
up?
quickly again.
Let
You can
Lion
accept
finish his sentence, guys. Come on,
He's
man.
just saying that I'm wrong, but he won't acknowledge the issue.
Yeah, but let him finish, bro.
Over and over is already tiresome.
Yeah, but he's saying the same thing over and over. You can acknowledge that the apple moves relative towards the earth, like Newton says, but then you also have to say the earth moves relative to the apple. But you don't do that. What you then want to do is invoke Einstein and say, well, no, the earth is actually just still, and it just follows the warping of space-time, but then the apple is also just still following the warping of space-time. You're cutting halfway there. Will you acknowledge that you're making that halfway cut, like we all just saw you do?
No, that's literally what relativity states, dude. There's space time. There's space time that's warping around falling objects, dude. I didn't come up with this shit.
Can I get in? Can I get in? I'm gonna.
Do you want to answer the question I just asked Lion?
Yeah, but I'm gonna get in too, Okna. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. So a couple of things. So first off, in Lion, when you hear the bending and warping of space-time, okay, I'm not sure what drives you to want to get into this. It's, I get that it sounds like bullshit to you, but there's no reason to think it's bullshit. It's not. This problem that you're proposing is only a problem because the math is really hard to do. Okay? But when we do the math, it's not a problem. All right?
The problem is...
Listen, hold on, dude. Hold on, bro. She was addressing me, dude. Omni, the reason I bring this up is because it's a mind fuck, dude. Yes. And I enjoy going through it. I enjoy going through it and breaking my noggin, trying to figure it out.
Okay.
That's why I bring it up.
That's not a mind fuck, which is why neither you nor Omni will acknowledge you're jumping between two different paradigms. You didn't acknowledge the thing I said. Is there a reason for that?
So there is no reason for it. It's a mystery, and it will forever be a mystery. All right.
But you're not acknowledging it regardless for a reason.
Tuakna, just leave it.
Sorry, wait till Xanax shows up, then you guys can interrogate Xanax. He'll tell you.
I'm going to agree with him. All right? And the reason why I'm going to agree with him is because the easiest way for you to understand, to me to make it clear to you, is yes, it's just from the apple's perspective that it's falling towards the earth, that the earth is moving towards it. However, what you have to realize is that it's not just from the apple's perspective. If I have scientists on the apple and they're all doing experiments trying to figure out what's going on, they will determine that they are not moving. Okay, that they cannot detect any force acting on them. They are floating in free fall, and this giant thing is coming towards them. All right, that's what every super sensor that they've got on there will. That the earth is moving towards it. However, what you have to realize is that it's not just from the apple's perspective. If I have scientists on the apple and they're all doing experiments trying to figure out what's going on, they will determine that they are not moving. Okay, that they cannot detect any force acting on them. They are floating in free fall, and this giant thing is coming towards them. All right, that's what every super sensor that they've got on there will detect. So, to say that that's just not really real is all that's doing is speaking from our daily lives perspective. It is real. There is no actual test that these tiny scientists can do, assuming no atmosphere, to determine whether or not that will tell them they're moving. They can't. Nothing. The interferometers that we use to say that we're spinning won't detect that. Accelerometers won't detect it. Okay? So for you to say, but that's not real, is, you know, it's just is only founded on your view of how everyday life works, which is when I let go of a glass, it falls on the floor and breaks.
And it's personal incredulity.
Well, yes, and personal
it's just not
incredulity, but we're
defining
all
what meaning
incredulous
is.
about something, right?
Yeah, but we don't make claims about it after. Okay.
Well, all right.
Oh,
So-
we're just gonna ignore that part too. I get it. We're just gonna ignore everything today.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so that's why I don't disagree with Zanuck. The mindfuck of relativity is that all reference frames are equal, and that yes, in fact, if I'm that tiny little person on the apple, I can do all of the, I can have all the sensors that Star Trek has, and all I can tell is that this thing is moving towards me. So
Omni,
Why is it a mind? Wait, why is it a mind fuck? How is that an issue? That's what relative motion is. You're just describing-
because the Earth
Dude,
is moving
dude,
up.
You weren't talking. Stop.
Sorry, go ahead.
You just described relative motion. All you could tell is that something is moving towards you. That's relative motion. Where's the mind fuck in this?
well, because if it was acceleration, if it was proper acceleration, you would be able to detect it.
What do you mean? I don't understand why you keep saying proper and coordinate acceleration. Coordinate acceleration, doesn't that assume a reference point to make a coordinate plane to say that you're moving through?
No.
So what, you're just gonna coordinate plane some like absolute arbitrary point of the universe?
Omni.
No. Coordinate acceleration means you can draw that coordinate system wherever you want from whichever reference frame you want, and you'll see the acceleration in some reference frames and not in others. But with proper acceleration, you will not.
No, what you did, okay, you have to describe it a different way because that's not making sense. If you're saying that you could see the acceleration in some reference frame but not in others, it's not the thing that's moving, it's where you place the coordinate system.
No.
So what do you mean no?
I mean, no.
Yeah, I think we're confusing general relativity and
Can I
classical
make a comment?
relative motion here.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way because how Omni's describing it just cannot be the case. Right? It just doesn't make sense even intuitively. And what Line's doing just isn't describing what motion is.
Well,
So we're running into two issues here.
I recommend we take it up with the PhDs.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the people
Yes.
here agree that it makes sense.
Yes.
And then Lion just says, nuh-uh. So I absolutely agree 100% with you for the first time. So I don't know what you're like, yeah.
No, I'm talking about you. You think that I'm getting it wrong. I'm pretty sure
I
I'm
do.
not getting it wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's fine.
He knows what he's talking about. Omni knows what he's talking about. And things that are free falling, right? They're experiencing zero acceleration, zero proper acceleration. And they're according to relativity, they're following the bending and warping of space time. They're actually following a geodesic, like
Yes,
especially
that's
with things
fine.
falling around the Earth
That's
in
fine.
orbit.
But then you have to say that the apple is also absolutely accelerating.
No, it's not.
Dude, what is your problem? How does that not
He's right.
immediately
Again,
follow?
The apple is not undergoing proper acceleration. If you put a accelerometer on it, it will read zero acceleration.
Okay. Sure. Whatever. Sure. You're either explaining. No, because you both can't
Boggling, dude.
explain this one thing using your different explanations. Because you're both trying to explain it in different ways, and you're just not acknowledging that fact.
Can I make a comment real quick? If ever in chat room we stumble upon a topic which requires prior knowledge of something as complex as general relativity, it's probably a good sign you need to change topics. Because you can't teach somebody this over Discord. It's just a fool's errand to think that you could. And then that just wastes time. So there are so many other ways, so many simpler ways to prove globe versus flat. And you don't need general relativity to do it.
Just really
Yes.
quick before we move on.
Also,
Wait, just super quick. Just to show that Omni and Line are not agreeing here. Omni, do you agree that the apple is moving relative to the Earth just as the Earth is moving relative to the apple?
they are both moving relative to each other. Yes.
Exactly. So your two views can't cohere with each other right now.
Well,
Because that's not what Lion's saying. Lion's saying that one is absolute and one is not absolute. So you guys,
hold on, bro. Hold on. Stop before you stop projecting. And my goodness.
No.
Okay.
Because now Lion wants to say the Earth is not moving relative at all, right? Even though that's what relative motion is. So you guys don't agree at the moment. You don't agree at the moment, which is why it's not.
I agree with that. No. Within your worldview, I have no problem with that, dude. I already told you this.
You have no issue with the Earth moving relative to the apple.
Orbiting the great attractor. I mean, obviously, it's moving.
Wait. So just to be clear, Lion, you have no issue with the Earth moving relative to the apple?
No, at all. Nope, not at all.
Okay, so that's relative motion. I'm glad we agree that.
I know what relative motion is. Stop projecting like I don't.
That's
I had
not
to
what you
teach
said
you what
earlier in the
relative motion
conversation.
was.
You didn't teach me anything.
It's also not projection. Stop using terms you don't know the definitions of, please.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on. Can I just say real
All
quick,
the Globers are getting
JL,
triggered.
you read my mind. Are you in my brain? What the fuck? I literally is like, just that's not projection.
I can read minds over TCP/IP. It's a rare
I find that happening.
my
I find that happening a lot. It's just kind of like, please stop using terms you don't know the definitions of.
You continue to project. Hilarious. The irony.
Do you know what is projection?
Not the projection. Again, not the projection.
Just hold on. Just what's projection?
You act like I don't know what I'm talking about, but really you don't know what you're talking about. The irony.
Well, when you use a term out of context like that, like you use a term you don't know its definition, and you think it means something else.
Dude,
that's what you're doing,
bro. You got nothing.
You think the term means something else. And you think it's a gotcha.
Bro,
you're like, aha,
yourself.
you're doing this, but you have the
likes you,
definition wrong. So you're not using the term correctly. So it makes you look like an idiot.
Okay,
Bro,
so
just mute yourself. You got nothing.
I constantly look like an idiot, so you're in good company.
Projection is kind of like an appeal to the box. You're like, yo, bro, like you're making that statement because you fucking actually think that about me. You're accusing me of something that you're doing. That's what projection means.
Bro, how many Q-ops do we need in one world, dude? You're like Q-op number 2. You sound just like
Q-op? What does that even mean?
He thinks
we already got one Q-op. We don't need another one.
More educated than him. There's this grand conspiracy of people who are more educated than him, who actually spent time in school and went to college and actually got degrees in this shit, and that it's all this great cabal that's meant to like discredit him.
I feel
no, but hold on. I just defined a term for him. What does he mean by Q whatever? What the fuck does that mean? Can he define that? I'm genuinely curious what the fuck that is.
Oh,
that has to be Q-op with a voice changer.
Yeah, what is Q-op? What the fuck is
Q-op? Is a guy.
Like, I keep asking you, you deaf motherfucker.
That's him, dude. That's him.
Oh, you just think I'm some other user? Is it just like anybody with a brain must be this user that triggered him one time? Is that what it's Q-op? Like, this is crazy. Okay, moving on.
Sorry to tell you, Lion, your God doesn't exist. You're not special in the universe. It's time for you to accept it. It's okay. There are support groups for this, so that you don't like crash out.
And I am special in the universe. I'm especially special.
We'll see one day, won't we? Everything will be clear to you, and then you'll be like, "Oh, damn."
You know, that's my favorite atheist part. You're not special in the universe. Meanwhile,
why are you special in the universe?
We're the only life ever found, right? But we're not special.
No, we're not the only life ever found. There's other life.
Essie, you are not special.
Essie, do you think there wasn't life before? Wait, you actually think there wasn't life before human? Do you think there was life before? Just because the fact that there's life before you're born makes you not
Remember
special.
the obvious question stuff Omni told you about before? Yeah, that's
Remember how he likes to protect you guys from dodging very obvious questions that make you guys look insane? Was there life before you were born?
It's funny. Is that a serious question?
Yeah,
you're inside my brain now.
Do you think there was life before you were born?
You can just answer it and move on.
Akta, he's a metaphysical idealist. It's only in his mind.
Okay, so there was life before you were born. So why do you think you're any more special than the life that came before you?
So
who said anything about being special?
So you're not special?
The statement was, the atheists say, "Oh, you think that you're not special in the universe."
I think
you're not special in the universe.
We're not special in the universe.
I know it's bad.
Wait a minute. Wait.
There's nothing that entails that we are special in the universe.
Yeah, what makes you special? Why would you say that?
Because so far we're the only ones that we know exist. So
What the fuck is this?
I think I'm pretty special. I don't know, man. If you don't think you're special, JL, you do you. But I feel
you know what? I'm pretty sick and tired of hearing this. I know that I am special because only special boys redo third grade.
When you say
Wait, no. He knows he's special because they have a special bus just for him.
That's right. That's right.
It's funny
my question is like when you say special, like what? And I hate this. It sounds like it's obvious, but like, what does it actually mean in this context? In what way are you using it that you feel that you are special in the universe, therefore God must exist?
Yeah.
Why do you think you're special? Period. Like the hell?
So what he says.
Well, go ahead, Omni.
When he says you're not special, he means that the Earth was not created as a flat, motionless plane just for you with a dome over it.
In the sense that, there's nothing to indicate that humans, that the existence of human beings was intentional, was like an intentional. It's not like there's evidence that indicates the universe was created in such a specific way as to give specifically to give rise to human beings. So no, there's no evidence of that.
Obviously,
perfectly designed. These fucking blind spots are just so perfect.
True.
Oh yeah, hey, can I ask a question?
Wait. My term to say.
Yes, you can ask a question. Hold on, Akna. You spoke enough, bro.
I wasn't speaking, bro. What is your problem?
I missed. Sorry, my bad.
So I don't think that is what makes us special or not special.
Omni, you know why you're special?
Why?
Because you live in a prison world with a dome above you.
Oh.
This is why you're special. And God observes every reaction that you make, and you cannot escape your prison ever.
Wait a minute. Omni you do not believe in the firmament, correct, Omni?
I do not believe in I do not believe in a biblical the biblical flat Earth firmament. I'm willing to accept that it could be the expanse of the universe or the.
Oh my goodness!
I thought I heard
no structure requires a container.
Well, if we want to call the universe the container, I'm okay with that.
Prison bars require a container.
The whole requires a container thing is nonsense. But if you want to call the universe a container, I won't complain. If you want to,
fuck that. Hold on. No. It's not nonsense. It's like backed up by everyday experience.
No,
the concept. Hold on. The concept of gravity holding in air pressure on the Earth is what's nonsense. Like gravitation, rather.
So
everybody at once, please.
Wait, what's holding in air pressure? What does that mean?
Departure. It's almost like you'd have to be either retarded or full of hubris to believe it.
Okay, he's trolling.
So it's not diverse from reality because it's experimentally and observationally. It's observationally and experimentally confirmed. So you can try again.
It's a matter of necessity to you because you have to, and it's
shit. Okay.
Yeah, well, you guys have been talking, so let me talk. I've been talking for fucking hours.
I want to let Issa talk.
I want to let Issa talk, but I have a question before you just say, because when you say you have to be retarded or super full of hubris to say that's going to trigger people. I want to understand what about it makes you think that a person saying it would need to be retarded.
Well, because it's like it goes against. How about just cool your jets, buddy. Fucking StarCraft over here. No, seriously. Because, if you're going to use, everyday usage, remember, the only reason you
don't
guys
understand it?
No, Warren, come on.
Because he doesn't understand
it? No. I understand it. The point is, and that's why understanding it is what makes it so laughable. Because, again, hold on, just let me finish. Just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. If every turn that I have to fucking try to believe what you guys propose, I have to depart from everyday direct experience.
So
the fucking gas pressure. Hold on, the gas pressure argument
Omni
happens to be one of the more like really backed up by evidence kind of claims, and yours thing is not backed up by anything but that which you're saying that it already is. So you're using,
Omni,
you know, it's like
Did
you have
anybody
no
follow that
example of it.
sentence?
We've got
No
wait,
example
wait,
of it.
wait.
wait. Let
okay.
me let me just finish my presentation. I gave a joke about flat Earth being a prison and not special. Then this guy actually jumped and showed us how badly he needs to feel special.
All right. Okay.
Just a remark.
We got it.
For
Okay.
the room.
Okay, who's next?
Oh, just saying that it's gravitational, like gravity, like, you know, curvature of space-time. These are all observationally and experimentally confirmed. So I don't know what he's talking about.
I know, but it goes against your like you have to depart from direct experience, which is just
no, it
weird,
doesn't. We can observe it.
That's what you require
and
for
we
everything.
observe it, and we
Where's
experimentally
space-time?
confirm
Where's
it.
space-time?
Dog,
My
you gotta
direct
let him
fucking
talk,
experience.
You
It
gotta
is
let him talk, dude.
experimentally and observationally confirmed.
No, just theoretically. No, just theoretically and mathematically confirmed by you.
No, wait.
Oh, wait. I have to know. Omni, I have to know.
Good enough. If that's good enough for
Back and
you.
forth on this. So, Isa, so what makes you think that there are not? Tora, hold on. Isa, what makes you think? What makes you think that there are not experiments that confirm gravity?
Well, it's kind of just like you're like the whole gay thing about you got to go to latitudes and you can test the fucking different weight and stuff. Like, you know, and like the idea that like those. Hold on. Those hold on. The different. Hold on. The differences, right? Like that you're at, like what you show to be your proofs for these things that are necessities based of observations of the stars is just laughable in light of like what we directly experience every day.
Okay,
like,
so that
you know,
makes 0 sense to me.
Can I ask a question, Isaac?
You necessitate, like in your model, it has to be that gold fucking has this big differential. But it's really not very much.
Can I ask
consequential.
Wait, okay, no, we're doing this in an orderly fashion because otherwise, So I'm going to go next to I think JL and then Pazza, but I wanted to say to Isa, what you just said didn't make any sense to me. It doesn't sound to me like you have. Like you know what experiments we're talking about or what data we're talking about.
Okay.
Well,
I just have three like really quick. I have two really quick questions because I pressed for time. I have a live stream I got to get to at 7. So, Isa, tell me what you think a scientific theory is.
Scientific theory. What do you mean? Like, are you trying to like the theory versus law question?
Yeah,
like,
no. When you use the term theory earlier, like it's just a theory. I want to know. I want to know if you know what a scientific theory is.
I don't know if I quoted I don't know if I said that, and I don't know if I could directly like explain to you the definition of it, like a scientific theory in like the language that you'd want.
Okay, so the problem is that you invoked the term theory as it was being equivalent to a hypothesis. It was equivalent to being a hypothesis.
Okay, so forgive me if it was some systematic faux pas.
Okay, not a problem. It's okay. It's okay. I have a second question. It's not a problem. We're good. We're good. You answered it. I have a second question. Do you know what type 1 and type 2 errors are?
No, not specifically. I don't know what.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Type 1 and type 2 errors are errors in cognition for human beings. It's when they're called false positives and false negatives. Okay? It's when an observation leads to a false conclusion based on faulty data, typically faulty assumptions, or another conclusion, either that their proposition is true or a proposition is false. Okay? That's called a false positive and a false negative. It's a type 1 and type 2 error. An example of this is when if you're an ancient hunter and you're out hunting and you come up on the long grass and you can't see in the tall grass, right? And then you see the grass move a certain way. So the question is it the wind blowing the grass, or is there a lion hiding in the grass waiting for you to come closer so he can get you? You have a choice to make. You either go into the grass and risk being eaten by a lion, or you just leave and you live to hunt another day. Okay, determining which one or the other is a type 1 or type 2 error. You don't have the data to make appropriate conclusions, but you, based upon the pattern analysis, you make another choice.
Right.
Humans do this all the time as a part of humans do this all the time. Isa, I'm not done. Humans do this all the time as a part of pattern. Humans do this all the time as a part of pattern recognition.
What's the relevance, dude?
No, it's not. So when you stand on the earth,
no,
Isa, here's where it's relevant. Isa, here's where it's relevant. Here's where it's relevant. When you stand on the earth and you don't feel movement, that's because you are experiencing the law of conservation of momentum.
Bro, that's
you are traveling the same speed as the earth does.
Shit.
And because motion is relative, you don't perceive the motion.
Okay, we got it.
To be honest,
Okay.
what I was going to ask Issa was, okay, right, so how would you
Yo, shut the fuck up.
Wait.
Yeah.
Everybody wait. Let Issa respond, dude. He had a whole freaking mouthful right there. Go ahead.
Yo, right. So, like, this is the thing, but it's like, look, no matter how much, like, everyday experience says, like, that there's gas pressure when there's containment, right? And you have to hold that pressure. Now, the point is like, that you guys are making the leap and, like, observing the long grass and presuming it's a spider or, presuming it's a fucking lion kind of a thing. By saying that, oh, well, no. Gas pressure without a container doesn't necessarily have to exist because we want to see the fucking tiger that's in the grass.
But that's not what we're talking about because gas pressure. But that's not what we're talking about because gas pressure is not the same as because gas pressure is not the same as atmospheric pressure.
I get it.
Gas pressure is not the same as atmospheric pressure. Issa, there's two different things.
Yeah, now you're gonna break through. But your excuses are never enough.
Issa, what do you think pressure is? Can you just tell me what you think that is?
Bro, are you gonna distinguish between particles hitting together or something hitting
Issa,
a surface?
what do you think?
I'm really, the whole proposition is retarded.
Issa, what do you think pressure is?
Because it goes against. Let me talk to Omni.
Stop.
Shut the fuck up.
No, Issa, I would like to actually respond to what I said to you.
Did you overcomplicate everything because you're fucking too busy?
No, I would like you to respond to what I said to you with the law of conservation of momentum.
That's what he
Omni,
did, bro.
Omni, can you control this? Can you control this guy?
No, dude, you gotta control yourself, bro. You gotta chill out.
Omni, I just want to know if he's going to respond to the law of conservation.
I don't know if he's going to respond. So are you?
Omni, maybe you can ask him because I'd like to know if he's going to respond.
I'm ask him right now. So, JL, are you going to respond to JL?
I don't even know what the fucking dude is saying. He's like over here talking about we're talking about gas pressure without a container. He's talking about
what he always does.
No, you switched to something else.
You don't have to.
I asked you about the law of conservation of momentum.
Stay on point. Yeah, I know, I get it. And it's again a stupid fucking argument. It's not what I'm trying to have right now. I'm having the argument that right now we're talking about gas pressure. Look, omnivores.
No, you changed it.
I wasn't even talking to you. Omni said, Joe, because I was trying to address you like politely, you fucking idiot. Like, yo,
you dodged it. You dodged the point that I brought up because it cooks you.
Dude, go right ahead. No, fucking. What I'm saying is this: is Omni said that gas pressure without a container is a stupid fucking argument. Now, my point is that it's actually really
you've got to rein this asshole in.
Shut the fuck up.
Rein this asshole in.
Yo, go write a gay poem about it. Fucking send it to Antifa. Dude, fucking do whatever you got to do, bud.
You guys are trying to emotionally dominate
Please don't come in here.
And Omni, he keeps using gay as a fucking pejorative. Can you stop that shit?
Yeah, it's like in the 1980s sense, bro. Grow up.
Yeah, how about we mute both of you guys?
In the Canadian sense?
No, the guys, come on. You got to go one at a time, guys.
So Pazza, we never got to you. What did you want to say, Pazza?
Well, I wanted to address what Issa said to start with. He said, if from his perspective, if you accept gravity or believe it or however he wants to frame it, then you must be retarded. I mean, how often in any other aspect of your life, if there's some proposition put on the table and it's complex, and in your everyday, all right, go on, carry on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I can understand this dude, bro.
You know, the derogatory terms that I've heard said about flat earthers in here is 10 times worse. So stop bitching about medic shit.
Could you potentially get on the same side of the wall as your microphone?
True.
True.
Did you hear what I said?
Nope.
No, it's straight.
Yeah, we heard. Dude, we heard.
There have been a lot of pejorative terms for flat earthers said in here, and I've heard Glober a lot. too. So what do you know?
True. So I have a question. Oh wait, he's muted. Never mind. Would any of the flat earthers in here like to tell me what they think pressure is?
It's force over area.
Omni,
Who answered that? Who answered that?
Flat earther?
Sorry,
No, not
did you become a flat earther?
I'm
That's so strange. No. That's Omni. Why are you protecting these people? Let them answer.
Yo, hold on,
Let them
yo,
answer.
bro, hold on,
Can I-
yo, everybody
can I
gotta chill out, dude. Everybody got, hold
pressure?
on, dude.
Can I just
Wait,
one question?
Protecting my
Are
head.
go ahead, dude.
are the gas particles putting the same amount of pressure on each other as they are the walls of the container?
Ooh, good question.
Dude, if you suck one dick, does it make you gay? You know, it's like, dude, I just think like, it's completely something that is like.
Lisa, please.
That depends. That depends. Is he cute?
Hey.
Yeah, it's like retarded questions, dude. You guys are answering questions that nobody asked for. One. And two, you're only answering the questions. You're only answering the questions
as they are the container.
No, listen, man. You're only trying to answer these questions because. Hold on, just 1 second, dude. No, this is a general premise I'm going to propose.
I'm not
it's
going to answer
interesting.
either of the
You guys aren't.
questions.
What I'm going to say is interesting, and you're not. So, like, the point is to check it out. Like, the idea that you have to put together all of this other shit to go along with what is initially your observation from the stars. Like you have to have centrifugal forces because the Earth has to be spinning because everything has to converge to the stars. And my point is, just let me finish.
Is this Windows
Let me finish.
XP? Is this Windows 98? Because I'm getting a blue screen.
What I'm saying is interesting. Remember, you're not. Yeah, the fucking point is this: is that you have to string together all of this different amount of shit. And all of it goes against.
I made a prediction. I predicted it was because he didn't get it. And he just basically said he doesn't get it. That's why.
And obviously, JL.
Predicted model confirmed, baby.
Good lord.
You wouldn't let me finish first off. You wouldn't let me finish first off.
And
my point is that.
Ask your question, Issa.
Can you explain to me what gravity has to do with observations of the stars? I mean, specifically
Certainly. That's what. No. Actually, that's what your guys are proposing is that gravity has something to do with that. And so what I'm saying is that, like, the idea that, like, take for instance, like atmospheric pressure, like the idea of how it would exist in your model goes against everything anyone directly experiences in life. And all you have to do.
Underwater?
Let me finish the point.
Have you ever been underwater?
Let me just finish the point. So that you guys are so bound, right, to like conform to all these things that don't make sense to everyday world life shit, and you have to string it all together. And it's like the gaps are bullshit. And it's a problematic because you're going to have gas pressure without a container every time you're going to need to fucking fill up your tire, but then it doesn't exist once you get out into the fire. It's just you guys are asking too much.
The way you're thinking is
the way I'm thinking. Dude, what are you talking about?
All the things you're talking about, they all work in cohesion in our model. All the things that you guys talk about contradict
and you have to give
the other things you guys talk about.
Okay, so
wait, can I get my question answered? What he thinks pressure is, not from
Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to talk about particles. Just go eat a dick, dude. Seriously.
Okay. But like, do you know what pressure is? Like, have you ever been underwater and like
just shut the fuck up, dude? Nobody cares, bro.
But have you ever been underwater and your ears start to hurt?
Because any attempt to put him in a corner is not going to work.
Me?
Yeah. So no. I have a legitimate question. Has he ever been underwater and his ears start to hurt?
With the concept?
Oh my god, bro. Chill with it.
No, I'm serious. I want to answer my question. I'm asking a legitimate question. I know, but I want an answer.
Akna, he's checked out, brother.
Obligated to give you one.
I'm not checked out.
Why are you here if not to engage? Like, it's kind of boring.
True.
He's checked out.
With what? Engage with what? Fucking offer me something, dude.
Listen,
it's
easy. You're not going to get him to do a mental exercise. He's got intellectual rheumatism.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
All right.
Why is it that it's a G word? When one side says God, it triggers the other. When one side says gravity, it triggers the other. It's very interesting.
It's the G spot, more like it.
So I want to go back. I want to go back to you have to be retarded to believe this. So the reason why I believe in gravity is very simple.
Wait, why do you justify your belief in gravity? Like, it's because you're not crazy.
Omni, let's break it down. What you're referring to with gravity, like flat Earth's argument, right, is not against the term gravity, right? Our argument is against the proposition of gravitation.
Okay, So here's why I believe in it. Are you familiar with the ideal gas law?
Elaborate.
What?
PV equals nRT. Have you heard of that? It's usually the gas law that flat earthers cite for why gas pressure requires a container. Or they just hold up the dictionary the same way that some people, unfortunately, hold up the Bible and go, this dictionary is the ultimate truth. And it says in this dictionary, in the definition of gas pressure, that it requires a container. Therefore, it must require a container. But none of that's actually true. Okay? So what happens is we have barometric pressure, which is a kind of gas pressure. It's the weight of air on us. That is how we use these things to like tell the weather, and airplanes.
Right, dude, and I get it. The weight of the particles and like all this collective shit.
Airplanes use them to determine their altitude. Okay, and
yeah, it doesn't necessitate a fucking gravitation, dude. It doesn't necessitate that. That's what's causing.
Yes, it does.
So,
what
if I told you,
the problem is with what you guys say is the cause, because it's like that's the point of contention.
What if I told you it did require gravity to work?
It doesn't, though.
Why?
Can I?
Wait. I want to go back. I want to understand this. Why do you think it doesn't require gravity? Like, how do you know if you don't even know?
Hold on. You get me back to my initial point. My argument is not against gravity, right? What you're referring to. Our argument is against gravitation.
Well,
yes.
I don't think. Hold on.
So the point is that because the effect of the effect of gravity could be like also. Is interwoven with the concept of buoyancy and density, and that can be enough. Now, if you're going to try to add little g and try to bring the g's into it and all that, then that could be explained away by like electromagnetism or something else that makes fucking sense.
So I think that I think it's clear that you maybe don't understand what we're talking about.
Shut the fuck up, Omni. What do you mean?
Let me explain why I'm saying that, okay? I will tell you. I promise. So the reason why it seems to me like you don't understand what we're talking about here is because when you're saying, well, we could go to little g or we could go to electromagnetism, none of those things are true. Like that's not how electromagnetism works. That's
just because you say, dude. I just don't get like the, to me, the hubris, dude. Like, that none of that is true. Like, I just think like the idea is that there's an alternative explanation for what you're referring to when you talk about all these things. Hold on, let me just finish. My issue with the globe is that you're fucking pigeonholed into this shit because of an attempt to wrap the stars around what we live on. Which is fine, like, you know what I mean? And I like the globe. I think the globe's a good model. I'm just not sure it's what I fucking live on. And like, all I'm saying is that at every turn you have to stitch together these like miracles that we don't ever directly experience. And gas pressure without a container is fucking one of them. And the fucking mental gymnastics required to justify it versus the simplicity of the argument from the state of like, you need, containment. The idea of containment, it does make more sense than what you guys propose.
So I think that you just admitted that the only reason why you believe in the flat Earth is because you're conspiracy brained and you like the idea of like believing what other people don't believe. I think you just admitted that.
Yeah,
no,
you forgot.
We're actually just we're taking two ideas. It's not even me, dude. It's two ideas. And like, so it's not even me that's whatever. It's just the opposing idea is this. And it makes more fucking sense than what you propose.
It doesn't.
And I don't care how many fucking people like, I mean, do you know what they did to Pythagoras, Omnivore?
I don't know what they did specifically to Pythagoras.
Okay, well, you know what they did? I'll tell you what, let me ask you a question. Was Pythagoras a great man who understood many things?
Like Socrates?
I don't know.
Well, okay.
I don't know much about Pythagoras.
Well, he's got the Pythagorean theorem named after him, right? So he could be considered pretty fucking bright, right?
I would guess you
kind of ahead of his time, maybe. You know what I mean? Like that kind of character. The people that he lived with at the time, they fucking like burnt him at the stake and killed him, dude.
What does that have to do with anything?
That's why when I hear these when I hear you guys with this army of intellectual fucking midgetry, I fucking just feel like that's what you are. You're the fucking little, like, people that killed Pythagoras. Like, and you think you're fucking so bright.
So
and it's like, these ideas make
you're
way
the
more
people who
fucking
killed
sense.
It's
Pythagoras.
interesting
These
how he
ideas
calls him,
make
how
way
he
more
calls
sense than what
himself
you
as a
propose.
hero and a victim in the
Just
same
cry
sentence.
about it, bro. Cry
It
about it.
might be, that could be true, but I assure you that right now, to me,
I assure you right now, you're
come off
pigeonholed
as
into one
incredibly
fucking
ignorant.
worldview. You're pigeonholed into one worldview, so there's no other way through it, dude.
No, that's not
Can you guys have a
But it
flat
seems
Earth
like,
debate
because you got to
without
stitch
stepping
together.
into a million logical
The
fallacies?
amount of shit you got to stitch together, like gas pressure, doesn't need a container when it comes to the Earth. But like it's just retarded. You know what I mean? I just think that like everyday experience shows opposite to what you guys ask.
Technically,
I was trying to
Only
explain
to
it to
tie
you,
it all
bro.
together to the fucking
I was trying to
stars. It's
explain it to
ridiculous.
you, Issa, but you failed on the first question. So
On the first question, how so?
There's this theory. There's the ideal gas law is understood by most flat earthers. You can go look it up. But when you combine the ideal gas law with more or less with gravity, Newtonian gravity, little g, what you discover is that it accurately predicts the gas pressure at each altitude. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. The ideal gas law, which should not be in contention to you, although I guess it could be. You could be like not aware and questioning anything, but the ideal gas law is and plus little g gives us a good measurement of the pressure at any altitude. Okay, are you following me thus far?
That was a hasty generalization, logical fallacy.
I mean, I follow what you're saying. It's like, again, it's just, go on if you want to go on.
So what that tells me is that gas is affected by the same downward bias that you claim you accept.
No. And the downward bias, and again, this is what's weird to me is that downward bias now has to convert into a ball in your idea, which is fine. I'm just saying, I just think that there's a downward bias, but I don't think, and I think the continuation of the thought in your model just gets to lunacy.
Well, there's a downward bias, and it's, as far as we can tell, it seems to affect gas. Does that? I mean,
well, let's say, then you get to bring up the old argument of helium. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Helium too.
I get it. It reaches a stasis, and you're saying then it's held by the fucking gravity. I just think that I don't buy it, man.
Come on.
Hey, that's a no true Scotsman fallacy that you just committed.
Shut the fuck up.
Yep, somebody's giving you examples and you're refusing to acknowledge them.
I'm not.
So Issa, when you talk about helium and you just blow it up like, oh, you can't explain helium. Yes, you can. Yes, it does. It absolutely explains helium. Okay.
Yeah, I said they were bringing the argument of helium. That's what I was saying.
What? So the thing that you said, but then you'd have to do X. Doing X is fine. It explains X too. Okay. So if we have a force that is holding down the air for us, why do we need why not have gravity? Why what's wrong with, if that's holding air down, which it is, then why are we
Dude, it's just, I'll tell you what, man. It's like, as much as
Why
you
do we
do the
need to
mental
go?
gymnastics to try to justify this shit, it seems retarded, dude.
Okay,
It's like
well-
a bunch of people. It's like a bunch of people like spinning around in circles, and like, I'm just saying, like, the concept of what gravitation offers is just, it's not good enough for what the for the complexity that we're observing. You know what I mean?
Could it seem
So
retarded
Omnivore,
that
he
you
actually
don't
doesn't have
understand
the
it?
like attention span to let you.
No, I get it, dude. It's just it. No, I'm literally.
You gotta
I
say it in
understand.
like 5-word
Okay.
bites.
No, Omnivore, I get what you're saying. It's just, if you yourself were to think it through.
Well,
It's like, it's such a big. All right. Well, I just think you guys are closed-minded about this.
That's an ad hominem.
So the problem is that I have thought it through, and I don't think you have. That's the problem. So
I mean, like I said, it's everyday usage of, like, let's say, gas pressure without a container. Shows us, like, I'm just using it as a microcosm.
I know.
But it's like every fucking turn. At every. Well, I think I get what you're asking me, and you're just trying to be like, you see, that's why it makes sense. And I'm saying, no, it doesn't make sense. You're saying you don't understand what I'm saying, and that's
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Very
Get it.
clear that you don't understand what No.
That I disagree. I think you're just North Koreans that don't fucking understand how to think outside the box, and you think fucking
That's an
Kim
ad
Jong Un
hominem.
created.
That was just a serious.
Enjoy
person that we're talking
my ad
about.
hominems. They're brilliant, bro. Fucking,
Well,
like,
not a
so like,
serious
it's like you just. Well, no, it's because you've been instructed to believe this, that you do.
Well,
for the
You haven't engaged. You haven't actually understood or engaged with a
I get
single
the
argument
fucking
from
arguments. It's just
people.
that, and your insistence to just be rude isn't like necessarily dictating the fact
You
that
just
it's
ad homined
That's
them twice.
hard.
You just gave
Isa?
2 ad homs, and you're telling.
Isa, you came out of the gate.
Enjoy them, like I just said. Enjoy the ad homs, bro. I'm good.
Hey, Isa, how can these Globers help you out, bud? What can they do to help you out?
You came out of the gate calling people.
I think it's the other way around. I think Issa's trying to help out the Globers, but on me,
that was a question for him, please. What could they do to help you out? Like, they're here, they're listening to you, they're engaged. What could they do to help you out?
Issa,
consider the fact. Hold on. Consider the mental gymnastics that one has to do in order to justify the crazy stuff that you have to stitch together,
bro,
at every turn in order for this to work. In order for the globe to really make work, like the globe is a great model. I say it all the time. The point is, it goes directly against everything I experience, which makes it seem silly.
But it doesn't.
Issa, do you need their help? Issa, do you think you need the?
Well, no, I need them to be. Yeah, I need them to be understanding members of society for sure.
Why is it a good model?
I am an understanding member of society.
Right, but you're obviously like short-sighted, and you think that you're fucking the hubris, like that you can.
I think you're a troll.
Just discount what Flat Earth is saying and proposing in opposition to your ideas.
These guys repeated the same 3 talking points in rotation for the last hour. Like, what the fuck is happening? He hasn't even engaged in a single point made with anybody, has he?
He engaged with me calling out his logical fallacies.
So
yeah, other than the people logical in the background to say logical fallacies.
Isa, I want to give you a piece of advice before before you go or whatever. When the first things out of your mouth are, if you believe this, you're retarded. That's going to create a conversation that may not be as productive as you might claim you want to have.
Did your feelings get hurt?
My feelings didn't get hurt. No. My
Somebody's panties up in a bunch.
My feelings are really hard to hurt, Isa. They're really
I know,
hard
but
to
that's
hurt.
what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm talking to you, Omni. I'm not talking to nobody else. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, there's a lot of people who don't like me. I'm cool with it.
But that's one of the things I'm telling you is that you're coming off as dumb. Okay?
No, I'm not coming off as dumb. I'm coming off. No. I'm being sincere. I'm being sincere. No. You can't call it dumb because look, I would think flat earthers are more versed in like a lot of this information. Like, not every flat earther, and there's a lot of crazy folks out here. But I mean, like a competent person who's like, proposing these ideas even internally in their head is like looking at what makes sense versus what doesn't make sense. And like I said, the biggest hurdle for the globe in the minds of people who've come to flat earth is the fact that, like I said, you have to stitch together impossibility of the real world at every turn. Idea, you're spinning, but you don't feel it. Just all, and now granted, I understand your arguments that try to refute that, but like I said, is that they're just not good enough. And whether or not we understand them or not is fucking irrelevant.
Can you repeat one of their arguments, please?
It is relevant because we have
to understand and repeat one of their arguments, please.
Would you expect to feel all kinds of spinning? Would you expect to feel them?
Dude, I get it, man. I get why you're saying you're not feeling.
Can you make the argument, please? Can you make their argument for them so we can see that you understand?
Like, it will want to be so slow, and you're moving in relevant motion to everything else that you would have always been in rotation with. So there would have been no sense of non-rotational because there's nothing to distinguish rotation from that, right?
So,
is that right? I just want to hear. Like, is that right? Am I wrong?
Now we're talking about rotation.
Check it out. Even knowing that I know that, right? I still think you'd have to be retarded to believe it. So how about that?
Why? What? If you're in a system that's spinning so slowly and you've got no peripheral,
Dude, it's not good enough. That's why it's not good enough.
But I said if I put you in a room on a maglev and I span it so it went round once a day, and you were sat in an armchair watching a TV in that room, there's absolutely no way. There's no way you.
It's not analogous because the maglev is a closed system with aluminum and soundproofing. You're talking.
So he's in a spinning room on liquid bearings. Okay, yeah. So the thing is not making any noise, and there's no windows. And he just sat there watching the TV in that room, and that room rotated in, say, in a warehouse or something, and it rotated once every 24 hours. He knows he wouldn't feel that room rotating. He knows
it's not just rotating; it's actually orbiting the sun as well. At what speed?
Sure. And what's
slower?
What's the rotational speed around the sun?
365 days.
I mean, this is the thing. Linear directions, you won't linear velocities. You won't feel. You know that. You know, again. You know you can't.
It's not linear, is it? Isn't it orbital?
It's got two components. It's got rotational and linear, isn't it? The linear you won't feel. The rotational you can, if it's substantive enough for your peripheral senses. But plug the numbers in. There's no point saying, "Oh, well, I can't feel the spinning, therefore it must be bullshit." Plug the actual numbers that the proposition is putting forward in. If the thing says, "Oh, it's spinning like a fucking tumble dryer," then yes, you've got a point to make. But if it says it's spinning like the hour hand on the clock, it's a different kettle of fish.
I mean,
yeah, just like your analogy of the maglev, right? You for some reason chose a maglev where you have fully contained, right, and soundproof, but that's not analogous to the Earth because you're on top of the Earth. That means you would be on top of the maglev.
No, because it's not because that's you're assuming that there's atmosphere in space.
The nature of the example is irrelevant. But the point is that you're in a system, some sort of system where you have no perception of outside that system. In other words, a sealed room, a sealed box, and it rotates very slowly. The reason I invoke that is because I didn't want it on suddenly noisy vibrating wheels, yeah, which arguably could give you some sensation of some mechanic going on. If you're in an enclosed system and it's spinning very slowly, you know, and we all know that we can't feel it. We know that already. There are fairground rides that put people on sort of like a platform with an axle to the side, and they tumble the room slowly, and it for the first couple of seconds of it, what appears to be, as far as you're concerned, the cradle you're sat on rotating from underneath you. You lurch forward, and everyone laughs. Everyone feels a bit weird, but then your brain kicks in and goes, "Oh, hang on, the room's rolling around." So you get used to it, but it's still very unnerving. But so you are built to expect. But if it says spinning like the hour hand on the clock, it's a different kettle of fish.
I mean,
yeah, just like your analogy of the maglev, right? You for some reason chose a maglev where you have fully contained, right, and soundproof, but that's not analogous to the Earth because you're on top of the Earth. That means you would be on top of the maglev.
No, because there's not because that's you're assuming that there's atmosphere in space, Eden.
It's the nature of the example is irrelevant. Well, the point is you're in a system, where some sort of system where you have no perception of outside that system. In other words, a sealed room, a sealed box, and it rotates very slowly. The reason I invoked that is because I didn't want it on suddenly noisy sealed room, a sealed box, and it rotates very slowly. The reason I invoked that is because I didn't want it on suddenly noisy vibrating wheels, yeah, which arguably could give you some sensation of some mechanic going on. But if you're in an enclosed system and it's spinning very slowly, you know, and we all know that we can't feel it. We know that already. There are fairground rides that put people on sort of like a platform with an axle to the side, and they tumble the room slowly, and it for the first couple of seconds of it, what appears to be, as far as you're concerned, the cradle you're sat on rotating from underneath you. You lurch forward, and everyone laughs. Everyone feels a bit weird, but then your brain kicks in and goes, "Oh, hang on, the room's rolling around," so you get used to it. But it's still very unnerving. But so you are built to expect certain things to happen with effective peripheral, and if it doesn't change, then you're not going to know it. And if your ears don't pick up this motion and the mechanisms in your body that pick up rotations, accelerations, decelerations, rotations, if they're not sensitive enough, you will not feel it. And people know that. And if they
Thank you, Paza. Thank you. I have a question, Paza. No pressure. Now, that's an extraordinary claim. Do you have any corroborating evidence you'd like to show? Maybe some video evidence of the Earth rotating from space, or do you have anything else you can corroborate your claim?
You want me to corroborate the concept of the Earth rotating?
Sure. Do you have any video you want to present to the room here of Earth rotating?
How about the gyroscopes?
How about the entirety of every single perceptible? How about the entirety of every perceptible phenomena that's celestially based?
Yeah. How about you present your very best, most corroborative evidence that corroborates the claim?
So
can you show me your video evidence of the Earth being flat, please?
Wait a minute. Eden, are you expecting people to believe that if you were shown, this one piece of evidence you're asking for, that you would like?
Let's not jump the gun here. Let's just examine.
I think it's a real question.
I would argue that people intellectually wise, people completely absorbed and accepted the fact that the Earth was rotating before cameras or any ability to get a camera to film it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying that perhaps you have something to corroborate your claim.
Yeah, I would argue that the observational nature of the entire celestial realm is a substantive enough evidence.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's just not. I don't think it's a good faith question. It doesn't sound like a good faith question to me.
That's okay. Do you want any evidence to corroborate the claim that you want to present?
I have evidence. Yeah. Why not?
All satellites show the Earth rotating under them except the geosynchronous ones.
Yeah. You want to present? I have evidence. Yeah. Why not?
All satellites show the Earth rotating under them except the geosynchronous ones.
Yeah. I mean, what about
post that evidence, please? Whoever made the claim of the satellites, go ahead and post the evidence, please. Thank you.
He wants something more substantial, like a video from outer space, even though he carte launched
also
from outer space.
Also, isn't the well, never mind. I'll have to think more about it and get back to you on that one.